Yeah, I'm really feeling like we probably should have just dropped it off at a place and had them do it.
Well, no turning back now. I think like the best we can do is just keep going with what we have.
Yeah.
Over the last 4 years, I've been making adventure films out of my Sprinter van. Now, together with my wife Janelle, we are finally giving our van the build-out it deserves.
Hey friend, welcome back to the VanBuild series. In this video we're talking about spray foam insulation.
We actually already did the spray foam in our van. It went great.
Big success.
Big success with some minor caveats, which is why we want to start this video by just explaining some of the pros and cons of doing spray foam insulation, and also some ins and outs and diddles and doodahs and things we learned along the way real quick to get you some value if you're trying to do this in your own van. It's worth noting right off the top with spray foam, in most places you can actually get it done by a professional for cheaper than it actually would cost you to go buy the product, or it'd be right about the same. Why did we do it ourselves? I kind of just wanted to. And also I was nervous taking it to a commercial place, because when spray foam gets applied it gets really hot, and if the commercial place isn't used to doing Sprinter vans or any kind of van, they'll apply it way too thick on the first pass, and as it heats up it'll actually warp the sides of the van. So I 100% would do it again in our next build. Not that we're planning a build anytime soon, but I would definitely do it again. It's actually a lot of fun when it's working well. And so just the enjoyment level of being able to spray it in. Janelle filmed most of this video. Was it fun watching me do it?
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was messy and a little chaotic, but you did a great job and it looked doable.
I will say the one thing we would have absolutely done different is one of the products we bought was, let's say, less performing than the other. Okay, so temperature is actually really important. The best temperature for this is 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So we actually couldn't have done this earlier than this week. Hey, you know, we've been
waiting for the nice weather.
We've been waiting for the nice weather.
And utilizing it all the time to get ready.
Moment of truth, our surface temp is 72 degrees Fahrenheit. We're gonna have to be okay with that. The lower threshold is 65 degrees. Upper threshold is like 80 something. Then the tanks themselves, 72 and a half as well. People tend to just love to complain about insulating techniques. I don't know if this is a good method, but we're gonna give it a go, because hypothetically it should have a great R value, be able to get into a lot of the annoying cavities, but then also have a vapor barrier quality built right into it, and then also sound deadening, flame retardant. It doesn't create little particles that would then vibrate around and come out during the van and create like micro particles in the air, which some of the batting insulations do. So when you're in a small space, you just want to consider that. I'm gonna suit up, I'm gonna start spraying, and then I'll share what I'm learning as I go, or I'll just save it all to the end, because we've gotta make some progress. That's 72 and a half degrees Fahrenheit as well. Oh, Janelle, can you tell them about this?
You still have time to be part of our Patreon. Every founding member is gonna get a Life's Better When You Make Stuff limited edition sticker. So you nervous about this, or?
I think I was nervous up until I got myself fired up this morning. I was like, doesn't matter. People on the internet are doing it. It'll be fine. Whatever.
Levi's like a, if someone else can do it, I can do it kind of guy.
One thing that was very clear when reading the instruction manual is that there's a lot of people who've complained about having bad experiences, because it's got all this list of things that like, don't do this, don't do that. So you can just tell there's a whole bunch of people that have gotten these kits and like done it wrong. And
sorry, the zoom is the front or the back twisty?
the zoom is the one that makes it zoom.
Well, is it bad if I do the wrong one?
Nope.
That is a funny hat. Are you sure that's a hat? It has like a big unicorn thing.
I'm pretty sure these are hats. Oh, these are feet booties. These are booties. These are for my shoes. The plan of attack here is to, one, see if we can get foam that works out of this thing. And then if it's working, apparently it's best to start with the ceiling, because the ceiling you need basically the most control and pressure for, and it's got the most pressure at the beginning. I can hardly breathe, my word. I think I need some practice before I go to the ceiling. So if you want to come out.
Yeah, I do.
That's cool, look at that. It's coming through. I think I should do the headliner after I practiced. So I'm going to start on this section.
Oh, it's green. That's good news.
That's green?
Well, it was blue and then it was turning green.
Is that green?
Kind of green and kind of blue.
That's more blue than green to me.
That's blue. Oh my gosh.
That's blue? Is that green or blue?
I don't know. I can't really tell what it would be.
And now is that green or blue? That's what I can't tell.
I think it's green.
That's fun. Oh, I'm so nervous. Oh shit. It's not getting hard. Oh.
What do you think so far?
What an awful process. Okay, maybe let's debrief what just went down.
Yeah, what happened?
Well, we started off strong, did a test spray on the wall.
Yeah, it was looking good.
It was green. 60 seconds later, it was hard. I was like, this is gonna be a blitz. And so I started on the headliner section, because that was kind of a pretty critical section to have good depth control. Blitzed through that whole section, and I was already jamming to tunes in my head. I was like, oh, this is gonna be sweet. We're gonna be done in like 20 minutes. And then I moved on to the next rib, and then the next one, and then I was like, hey, maybe I should check to see if what I did about a minute ago is hard. And I went over and touched, and it was just soup on the wall. And I didn't want to believe it, but it was more blue than it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be green.
It's hard to tell way deep in the van.
I think the reason why it's so hard to tell deep in the van is because the walls are yellow. And so...
Oh, and the lighting's not very good.
And yellow and blue make green. So like, as I'm like spraying blue onto green, like my brain is seeing green.
And the green isn't a very strong green.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. It's
well,
just,
what are we gonna do though? Like, is there troubleshooting?
Well, I've read the whole manual. I did what it said to do when it's not the right color. I think I'm just gonna finish off the ceiling ribs with what we have going, and hopefully it gets better. I'm not really too sure, to be honest. Yeah, I'm really feeling like we probably should have just dropped it off at a place and had them do it.
Well, no turning back now. I think like the best we can do is just keep going with what we have.
Yeah.
Interesting, because you can tell in this first chunk that when you started, the outside rim was more green.
This is correct. Just turning the phone.
That's a different color for sure than the headliner. Right, how do you fix your mistakes?
There we go. How's that? Is that look green to you?
Yep. Especially compared to the blue beside it. Can you tell then? So how far did we get with one?
90% of the ceiling with one. That's kind of discouraging. Well, I guess we get an opportunity to do a full review of the differences between Home Depot's kit and Filmic Green. Shame on you, Filmic Green. That was not. This thing has some heat. Wow. This product feels much, much better than Filmic Green already. I gotta be a little more careful as I'm spraying because it's expanding so much more. But it really has some oomph to it. Like it feels great. Okay, so this is like definitely one of those instances where if I put on too much on one panel, it'll, because this stuff's hot. Wow, I have a lot of control with this guy. I'm enjoying this one way more. It just seems to go on better. Yeah, this is the superior product, no question. No question. Wow. This is great.
I feel like I just stepped into a marshmallow.
Home Depot spray foam kit for the win. That went on how I pictured doing spray foam would go. I just had so much more control. It felt like if we look up at this, it's just, it was a lot harder to get a consistent pattern going. And I think honestly I think the big difference is the Filmic Green stuff is like an eco-friendly version. And I don't know exactly what that means, but it definitely feels a lot more finicky, all aspects about it. So as a product, I would not recommend it because we are, on the tank, it's got this little temperature strip gauge right on it into operating range, and we were exact in the middle, right in the green section. It said good to go, read the manual, and it just was not going on. And if we had only used that kit, I guess I would have left this experience going. Spray foaming is an art form that I'll never learn, and I should never try to do that myself again. And to have the contrast of jumping into this Home Depot kit immediately is very confidence insert. What kind
Inducing.
of word? Inducing. I'm being induced.
No, don't do that.
It's being, what happens when
That makes me think that you're pregnant. You say it so strongly like that. What was the cost difference between the two?
I think the Filmic Green was more expensive. forgot to say this earlier in the video, but what a lot of people will do is actually take rigid board insulation and do like great stuff foam behind it and like cut out a section, put it in the window and like seal it around the edge with spray foam. My instinct is that that's not a great option, and the reason for that is that you don't know if you filled in all the air cavities behind it, and where bare metal is, condensation will form. So if this metal gets really cold, it will, I don't know what that particle process is like, but if there's moisture in the air, it will start clinging to the metal, and where moisture clings, rust forms. So when I heard that people were, and when I saw people doing rigid board and kind of gluing it in like that, I was like, oh, that seems really effective, quick and easy. But my biggest hesitation would be all those pockets behind where you don't know if you actually filled it in all the way. So the great stuff about spray foam is as you spray it on, like there's no moisture or air gaps at all behind it. So that to me is like a big win of the spray foam process. But it's very permanent. I would not want to be the next owner of this van who would want to redo what we did. So we never had insulation in our van before, and I wasn't even entirely convinced of how much of a difference it would actually make just in the overall daily usage of the van. But one thing that stood out to me immediately is, for one, how quiet it is in here. But the second thing was, usually when I stand here and it's like the middle of the day and the sun's beating down, it's very hot right here because, I mean, especially now that our van is darker, it just really starts to cook when you're standing at this height. But we've had insulation in here for a couple days, and when I stand up here, it kind of just feels normal. I didn't even notice that there was a difference until it was like really bright and sunny outside and I touched the van and it was hot. And then inside when I'm standing in here, it's like, I don't notice. So I guess that's a really big win right away, just knowing that the insulation is doing something. And another thing I wanted to touch on in this video was the fact that we ran a lot of wires in the wall and through the roof like that. Because we're running so much wiring in this van, I didn't want to run it all in the corners and nooks and crannies of our cabinets. I wanted a more clean install. So I'm acknowledging that if for some reason there's an issue with one of these wires, I might be limited in the amount that I can diagnose what's going wrong. So there is a chance that some of these wires, for whatever reason, may short out, stop working, blow a fuse. I don't know what's going on. And that's gonna be tough because it's now glued into a wall. But then at the same time, if there's wires that we wanna add now, we can still do them inside of cabinets and through nooks and crannies and corners, but we don't have like a big, massive, like 4 inches of wires that we're doing that with. We're doing it with far fewer wires, which for me, I'm happy with that. I wanted it to be as clean as possible. And I'm really happy with the little locations in the corners of the van where we were able to get wires to sneak down through. And plumbing in the wall, again, that's something that's not entirely necessary, but getting the pipes wrapped in insulation itself, especially with the heat tape going down it, really gives me a lot of confidence that if we take this thing skiing or we're in the dead of winter here in Canada, it's gonna perform fantastic.
That
foam it green
just is not good. Don't do it.
I'm sure there's scenarios where the product works as expected. I don't know why ours behaved the way it did. Literally, I looked through all of the instructions, followed all the guidelines. I'm sure one of their product reps would like come into this video and be like, you didn't do this. But I assure you we did. We followed every little instruction. We did the problem solving for when it said it's not working correctly. I don't know why the foam behaved so badly and then immediately behaved so well with the kit we got at Home Depot. We probably would have saved money if we just went and got one of the really big kits right off the start. Well, thank you for watching this episode. Hopefully we have another one up pretty quickly here.
And in the meantime, just remember, life's better when you make stuff.
Sure is.
What's going on, guys? My name is Brendan from North Georgia. Levi has been a huge inspiration to me. If you guys like the content on his channel, odds are you'll probably like a lot of the stuff on my own YouTube channel. So if you guys want to check out Head in the Clouds Outdoors on YouTube, like, subscribe, it'd be greatly appreciated. Life's better when you make stuff.
Floor to bed shelves, which would be like clothes and stuff. Okay. And then the bed